थॉमस हॉब्स 17th सेंचुरी का था बंदा। बुक लेवियाथन, मॉन्स्टर, स्टेट। इंडिविजुअलिज्म एंड होता है, एब्सोल्यूटिज्म मीन होता है। यूटिलिटी ऑफ स्टडिंग हॉब्स। द मोस्ट important thinker to understand the principle of modern political life, principle and practice of modern state. The most defining feature of modern state is sovereignty. The most defining feature of modern state is sovereignty. The most defining feature of modern state is sovereignty. Hobbes was the first person to give complete theory on sovereignty. What is sovereignty? Sovereignty is called as supreme power. Sovereignty is called as a supreme power. What is sovereignty? Sovereignty is called as supreme power. It is concept of modern time. Implication of sovereignty as a modern concept. Sovereignty means supreme authority to make and enforce law. Sovereignty means supreme authority to make and enforce law. Sovereignty means supreme authority to make and enforce law. Law. In medieval time, authority was divided, or it was a federal, like Roman Empire Federation. It was not clear who is supreme. ठीक है, मिडाइवल टाइम में कौन सुप्रीम है पता ही नहीं था. हुज लॉ विल प्रिवेल और हु विल हैव लास्ट वर्ड. व्हाट वाज प्रॉब्लम, दिक्कत क्या था? इट विल लीड टू स्टेट ऑफ कन्फ्यूजन और केवॉस. हैंस देयर वाज अ नीड टू एस्टैब्लिश इंस्टीट्यूशन विच विल बी कंसिडर एज अ सुप्रीम विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू लॉ. तो हम लोग को एक ऐसा इंस्टीट्यूशन खड़ा करना था, बनाना था जो इस्टेब्लिश करेगा, जो कंसिडर करेगा कि कौन सुप्रीम है, वो भी कानून के हिसाब से, लॉ के हिसाब से. It will lead to the state of confusion or chaos. Hence, there was need to establish an institution which will be considered as a supreme with respect to law. Why the need arose in modern time? मॉडर्न टाइम में ही ज़रूरत क्यों पड़ा? द राइज ऑफ कैपिटलिज्म, पूंजीवाद, क्योंकि मॉडर्न टाइम में कैपिटलिज्म आ गया. राइज ऑफ कैपिटलिज्म. In feudalism, relation of production will be based on birth, whereas capitalism it is based on contract. Feudalism में प्रोडक्शन बेस्ड ऑन बर्थ था, whereas capitalism में बेस्ड ऑन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. कैपिटलिज्म में कॉन्ट्रैक्ट चलता है, फ्यूडलिज्म में बेस्ड ऑन बर्थ चलता है प्रोडक्शन. ठीक है. हैंस देयर वाज अ नीड फॉर अथॉरिटी who will be responsible for ensuring law and order, law and enforce the contract. Hence there was a need for authority who will be responsible for emerging the law and enforce the contract. What is the aim of theory of sovereignty? Sovereignty is the theory of law, the different tradition of law. Natural law based on reason, religion law based on book of religion, customary law based on custom and tradition, positive law, law made by state. The theory of sovereignty established supreme of law made by state over all other tradition of law. The theory of sovereignty. The theory of sovereignty established supremacy of law. Theory of sovereignty established supremacy of law made by state. कौन बनाएगा? मेड बाय स्टेट ओवर ऑल अदर ट्रेडिशन ऑफ लॉ. थ्योरी ऑफ सॉवरेनिटी एस्टैब्लिश सुप्रीमेसी. थ्योरी ऑफ सॉवरेनिटी स्टेट को बड़ा साबित करता है कानून बनाने के हक में. वाई लॉ मेड बाय स्टेट शुड बी सुप्रीम. इट इज़ अ प्रोडक्ट ऑफ रैशनल डिबेट. इट इज़ अ सर्टेन. इट कम्स विथ पावर ऑफ पनिशमेंट. स्टेट का कानून बनाया हुआ सबसे ऊपर क्यों होना चाहिए? ये रैशनल डिबेट से बनता है, सर्टन है, पावर ऑफ पनिशमेंट से आता है. ठीक है. Why law made by state should be supreme? It is a product of rational debate. It is a certain. It comes with power of punishment. ठीक है. Concern of Hobbes as a thinker. Hobbes belonged to Britain. He has witnessed the troubled phase of British theory. Puritan Revolution 1641 में. Puritan Revolution 1641 में. Puritan Revolution 1641 में. Hobbes belonged to Britain. He was witnessed the troubled phase of British history. Violent था. King beheaded first year of Republic. ठीक है. It was a complete chaos at the time of Hobbes. In this revolution there was different contending groups. Catholic जो कि सपोर्टर ऑफ चर्च था. प्रोटेस्टेंट सपोर्टर ऑफ एब्सोल्यूट किंग था. रॉयलिस्ट प्रोटेस्टेंट था. एंटी रॉयलिस्ट कैथोलिक था. कैथोलिक सपोर्टर ऑफ चर्च, पता ही चलता है कैथोलिक मतलब चर्च होता है. प्रोटेस्टेंट पता ही चलता था कि जो प्रोटेस्ट कर रहा है किसके खिलाफ, चर्च के खिलाफ, मतलब जो किंग को सपोर्ट करता है. रॉयलिस्ट मतलब जो प्रोटेस्टेंट है. जो रॉयलिस्ट मतलब जो राजा होता है. रॉयलिस्ट मतलब राजा होता है. राजा मतलब जो राजा को सपोर्ट करेगा. जो राजा को सपोर्ट करेगा वो प्रोटेस्ट करेगा. एंटी रॉयलिस्ट जो राजा नहीं होता है, जो कौन राजा नहीं है, चर्च राजा नहीं है, तो वो लोग कैथोलिक होगा. सिंपल है, इजी है. इन दिस सिचुएशन देयर वाज नो सिक्योरिटी ऑफ ईदर लाइफ और प्रॉपर्टी. ना ही जान का ना ही प्रॉपर्टी का कोई सिक्योरिटी नहीं है. हैंस द मेन कंसर्न ऑफ हॉब वाज ऑर्डर और द सिक्योरिटी. मेन कंसर्न हॉब्स का था ऑर्डर, सिक्योरिटी. Hobbes' concern was protection of life. Hobbes established right to life or right to self-preservation as an absolute right. Right to life, right to self-preservation as an absolute right. Hobbes has established right to life और right to self-preservation. जैसे इसमें डिफेंस में अपने आप को दूसरे को मार देना है, तो ये यहीं से है, एब्सोल्यूट राइट से आता है. अकॉर्डिंग टू हिम राइट टू लाइफ इज सो सेक्रेट दैट मैन कैन इवन किल अदर पर्सन फॉर प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ हिज लाइफ. राइट टू लाइफ इंक्लूड राइट टू सेल्फ डिफेंस. इट ऑल्सो मीन्स दैट लाइफ इज गिवन बाय गॉड. स्टेट इज नॉट सोर्स ऑफ राइट बट ओनली प्रोटेक्टर ऑफ राइट. स्टेट इज नॉट सोर्स ऑफ राइट बट ओनली प्रोटेक्टर ऑफ राइट. State cannot deprive person from his right to life in arbitrary manner, which means state can deprive a person from his right to life only in accordance to procedure established by law under, जैसे कि इंडिया में आर्टिकल 21 है. Since he considered right to life as a absolute, it is one of the reason to regarded Hobbes as a greatest of all individualists. Since he considered right to life as a absolute right to life as a absolute right, since he considered right to life as absolute, it is one of the reason that regarded Hobbes as a greatest of all individualists. What is individualism? It means man is a prior to state. Self interest is supreme. आदमी स्टेट से बड़ा है, सेल्फ इंटरेस्ट सुप्रीम है. व्हाट इज इंडिविजुअलिज्म? इट मीन्स मैन इज ए प्रायर टू स्टेट, सेल्फ इंटरेस्ट इज ए सुप्रीम. अकॉर्डिंग टू हॉब्स मैन इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक बाय नेचर एंड सोशल ओनली आउट ऑफ नेसेसिटी. हॉब्स इज ए स्कॉलर ऑफ पॉजिटिव इंडिविजुअलिज्म. अपोजिट है इसका वेलफेयर स्टेट. पॉजिटिव इंडिविजुअलिज्म का अपोजिट है वेलफेयर स्टेट. मैन इज अ सोशल बाय प्रोडक्ट. अकॉर्डिंग टू हॉब्स मैन इज ए इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक बाय नेचर एंड सोशल आउट ऑफ नेसेसरी. ही इज़ अ स्कॉलर ऑफ पॉजिटिव इंडिविजुअलिज्म. अब ये बताओ पॉजिटिव इंडिविजुअलिज्म होता क्या है? व्हाट इज़ पॉजिटिव इंडिविजुअलिज्म? इट इज़ अ फिलोसफी ऑफ कैपिटलिज्म. अकॉर्डिंग टू this view, whatever man possesses is because of his effort and society has no contribution. इंसान अपने मेहनत से कमाता है और सोसाइटी का इसमें कोई योगदान नहीं है, और ये कैपिटलिज्म का फिलॉसफी है, ठीक है। और hence man can't be compelled to give back to the society. What is function of state according to Hobbes? Most important purpose of state is to exist in preservation of life. लोग का जान का रक्षा करो. What if state failed to protect life or state itself taking the life of its citizen? A state which cannot protect life is a failed state. In case of state itself start taking life of people, and people will have right to resist the state. Hobbes is the greatest of all absolute. Who is absolute? One who gives absolute power to state. Absolute power to state meaning a state is a sovereign. No other association, not even church, will have power over state. It is for this reason Hobbes' book was prohibited by the church. State is a absolute, means man has a liberty when law is a silent. It means man is a free only to the extent state permit him to be free by not making law. If state made law, man has to act according to the law. What if man doesn't obey the law? State will have right to punish the man. Why lawbreakers should be punished? If one person don't follow law, other would also be tempted to not follow law. It would result into chaos. When person don't obey law, it means he claim himself to be sovereign. He believe that he can have his own law. In particular territory, there can't be more than one sovereign. What is state according to Hobbes? State is a sovereign, absolute power to make and punish the lawbreaker. What is law? Law is a law which comes from the state, and that which comes with power of punishment. क्या है law? Law is a law which comes from state, and that which comes with power of punishment. The function of a state is to protect life. A state is an institution which has monopoly over use of coercive force on territory. Function of state is to protect life. State is an institution which has monopoly over use of coercive force on a territory. Any other or organization or private person using force is not permissible. सिर्फ स्टेट coercive force यूज़ कर सकता है. Why Gandhian was critic of state? He was not critic of any state but modern state. Modern state was established in India by British colonial power. He was not critic of any state. ये हर कोई स्टेट का क्रिटिक नहीं था, बस मॉडर्न स्टेट का वो क्रिटिक था गांधी जी. काहे कि मॉडर्न स्टेट ब्रिटिश कॉलोनियल पावर से बना था, ठीक है. व्हाट इज़ द आइडिया इनहेरेंट इन द स्टेट? वायलेंस, पावर टू पनिश. वायलेंस जो कि पावर टू पनिश है. ऑरिजिन ऑफ स्टेट इज़ टू पनिश द लॉ ब्रेकर. ऑरिजिन ऑफ स्टेट एक तो ये पावर ऑफ पनिश करता था जो कि वायलेंस को प्रमोट करता है, और ऑरिजिन ऑफ स्टेट टू पनिश द लॉ ब्रेकर, जो कानून को तोड़ेगा उसको पनिश करेगा. इसीलिए स्टेट पैदा लिया है. गांधी अपोज मॉडर्न स्टेट एज इट्स रिप्रेजेंट इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइज्ड वायलेंस. ये गांधी अपोज मॉडर्न स्टेट को करते थे क्योंकि ये इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइज्ड वायलेंस करता था. एक इंस्टीट्यूशन है वायलेंस का, हिंसा का. जस्टिस एक आइडिया है. जस्टिस आइडियलिस्ट है, पावर रियलिस्टिक है. पावर हकीकत है और जस्टिस एक ख्वाब है, ठीक है. Thus the foundation of state is not in the justice but in power. The foundation of state is not in the justice but in power. इसीलिए स्टेट जस्टिस करने के लिए नहीं बना है बल्कि पावर के लिए बना है. Hence state is Leviathan sea monster. State is having many times more power than single person. Don't fight with state, you won't win. Is there contradiction between individualism and absolutism? No, man is individualistic that he can't live in peace with other men until and unless there is absolute authority. Hobbes. absolutism is not for sake of absolutism, but for the protection of individual. Hobbes' absolutism is not for sake of absolutism, but for the protection of individual. Hobbes has laid the foundation of utilitarianism. Hobbes had laid the foundation of utilitarianism. What is utilitarianism? It is also known as hedonism. It means man seeks pleasure and want to avoid pain. He also means materialism. It is a philosophy of capitalism because it promotes consumerism. Since man is a utilitarian by nature, man is a individualistic by nature. The reason is a pleasure and pain are individualistic experience. Hobbes belongs to the tradition of social contract. What is social contract? It is a concept based on capitalism. ये एक कैपिटलिज्म का बनाया हुआ है सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. इफ इकोनॉमिक इज ए कैपिटलिज्म रन बाय कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, और इफ economic in the capitalism run by contract, society and government is also based on contract. ये सब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट चलता है. और कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कौन फेवर करता है? कैपिटलिज्म. What does contract symbolize? State and society was not natural. They are result of contract among people. Mechanistic view of state is opposite to organic view of state. Mechanistic view of state is opposite to organic view of state. Mechanistic view of state is opposite to organic view of state. When we use the term machine, we actually undermine the institution. When we use the term machine, we actually undermine that institution. ठीक है. Here state is a machine means for end of man. Here state is a machine means for end of man. मशीन जो इंसान का एंड कर दे. Here end of man, attainment of happiness. Here predominantly pleasure, satisfaction of body. Here end of man is attainment of happiness. यहाँ एंड का मतलब है attainment of happiness. Predominantly pleasure, satisfaction of body. Hence state is an institution of utility. It is a purpose to increase pleasure, decrease pain. Social contract is also methodology to evolve political theory. Social contract is also methodology to evolve political theory. Social contract method consists of following method. Description of human nature. State of nature. Social contract method consists of following step. Description of human nature. अब दूसरा नंबर पे state of nature. Hypothetical concept which shows the life of man if man is left to live naturally without a state. Hence there will be certain problem in the state of nature for which men will enter into contract with each other to form a state. Process of contract. There will be determine the term and condition, obligation and liabilities of the parties. Hobbes was the first person to introduce scientific method for study of politics. Hobbes was the first person to introduce scientific method for study of politics. जैसे एरिस्टोटल बायोलॉजी को इंट्रोड्यूस किया था, हॉब्स फिजिक्स मोर साइंटिफिक. हॉब्स का कहना था फिजिक्स मोर साइंटिफिक है. वाई साइंटिफिक मेथड? इट वाज एज ऑफ साइंस. नो थ्योरी वुड बी एक्सेप्ट until it was scientific in nature. Hence he was compelled to adopt scientific method. Hobbes method is known as a resolutive composite method. ये क्या होता है आगे पता चलेगा. Scientific method is a social science. Scientific method is a social science. French mathematician and philosopher. French mathematician philosopher Descartes has shown how scientific method can be used in social science. He give following step: observe the phenomena, divide the phenomena into similar elemental part, establish the cause and effect relationship. This is called as resolutive composite method. क्या क्या है? पहले ऑब्जर्व द फेनोमेना, ऑब्जर्व करो फेनोमेना को, डिवाइड फेनोमेना इनटू सिमिलर एंड एलिमेंटल पार्ट, फेनोमेना को डिवाइड कर दो, इस्टेब्लिश द कॉज एंड इफेक्ट रिलेशन। यूपीएससी को भी कोई भी बड़ा टॉपिक को पहले ऑब्जर्व करो, फिर उस टॉपिक को डिवाइड कर दो सब टॉपिक में, और वो टॉपिक से क्या फ़ायदा नुकसान होता है वो निकालो। सेम वैसे ही रिजोल्यूटिव कंपोजिटिव मेथड, observe the phenomena, divide the phenomena into similar and elemental part, establish the cause and effect relationship. This is called as a resolutive composite method. Hobbes method. Hobbes was very much influenced by Galileo and Newton. Hobbes believes that principle of physics can be applied for understanding politics. Concept of mechanism. Concept of mechanics. According to this theory of mechanics, universe is made up of matter. Matter is made up of particles. Particles are the state of motion. Man is also part of universe. Man is also made up of particles. Particles are in the state of motion. चलो फिर से देखते हैं. According to this theory of mechanics, यूनिवर्स बना है मैटर से, मैटर बना है पार्टिकल से, पार्टिकल ए स्टेट ऑफ मोशन में है। इंसान भी बना है यूनिवर्स से, और इंसान भी बना है पार्टिकल से, और पार्टिकल भी है मोशन से। यूनिवर्स मैटर, मैटर पार्टिकल्स स्टेट ऑफ मोशन। मैन यूनिवर्स से है, मैन पार्टिकल से है, और पार्टिकल स्टेट ऑफ मोशन से है। Hobbes also applied concept of psychology. He suggests to understand human behavior. He belonged to the geometry. He believed that geometry is also useful to develop scientific theory. Geometry is most logical, consistent system and most systematic discipline. Application of methodology by Hobbes. Observe the complex phenomena, break it into the elemental part. All human actions are shaped by human behavior. Human behavior is shaped by human brain. Like all other things in universe, brain is also made up of particles, matter. Particles are in the state of motion. Motion continues so long as man is alive. Motion will also slow down when man sleep, and there are two basic motion: inclination, aversion. फिर से देखते हैं. All human action are shaped by human behavior. सारा human action human behavior से shaped है. Human behavior is shaped by human brain. Human action human behavior से shape है. Human behavior shape है human brain से. Like all other things in universe, brain is also made up of particles. Brain particles से बना है. Particles are in the state of motion, और particle state of motion में है. मोशन कंटिन्यू सो लॉन्ग मैन इज़ अलाइव. मोशन तब तक चलेगा जब तक इंसान जिंदा है. मोशन विल ऑल्सो स्लो डाउन. और मोशन तब स्लो होगा जब इंसान सो रहा होगा. और दो तरीका का मोशन होता है, एक इंक्लिनेशन, एक एवर्शन. इंक्लिनेशन जो ऊपर जाता है, एवर्शन नीचे जाता है. ठीक है. ह्यूमन एक्शन ह्यूमन बिहेवियर से, ह्यूमन बिहेवियर ह्यूमन ब्रेन से, ह्यूमन ब्रेन पार्टिकल से, पार्टिकल स्टेट ऑफ मोशन से. मोशन जिंदा आदमी का चलता है जब तक इंसान जिंदा है, और मोशन स्लो डाउन होता है जब इंसान सो रहा होता है. दो तरह का मोशन है, एक इंक्लिनेशन, एक एवर्शन. ठीक है. मोशंस आर शेप्ड बाय मूवमेंट ऑफ पार्टिकल इन रिस्पॉन्स टू एक्सटर्नल स्टिमुलस. There is an inclination toward things which give us pleasure, and there is an aversion toward things which give us pain. Motions are shaped by the movement of particle. Motions are shaped by the movement of particle in response to external stimulus. There is an inclination toward things which give us pleasure, and there is a aversion toward things which give us pain. Hence, all human actions are guided by pleasure and pain. Love and aversions are two basic emotions. Thus, man is a hedonistic or pleasure seeking by nature. Implication of hedonistic nature of man. Man is a materialistic, man is a individualistic, man is a possessive, man is a power seeking, man is a fearful. Man materialistic है, man materialistic है, man individualistic है, man is a possessive, man is a power seeking, man is a fearful. Power is a means to attain the things which give us happiness. Power is a means to attain the things which give us happiness. Power is a means to attain the things which give us happiness. So, Hobbes' social contract. Life of man is a continuous search for power after power which ceases only with his death. Life of man is a continuous search for power. Life of a man is a continuous search for power after power which ceases only with his death. In above statement, he explains reason behind power-seeking nature of man. He applies resolutive composite method to understand fundamental characteristic of human nature. Like anything in universe, human brain is also made up of particles, which are in the state of motion. So long man is alive, particle will remain in state of motion. All human motions can be categorized into two types, love and aversion. The things which give us pleasure generate motion, emotion of love. The things which give us pain generate motion, emotion of aversion. Hence, there is a continuous desire for things which give us pleasure. Man is not satisfied once. Satisfaction of pleasure gives rise to seeking for other. Man is not satisfied one. एक बार satisfied नहीं. Satisfaction of one pleasure gives rise to seeking for another. एक बार इंसान संतुष्ट नहीं होता. अगर एक बार संतुष्ट हो गया तो उस चीज़ को और ज़्यादा खोजता है. Power is a mean to attain the things which give us pleasure. Power is a means to obtain things which give us pleasure. It can physical, economic, political or any sort of power. Since desire for pleasure continue throughout the life, the search for power will also continue. Hence, life of man continue search for power after power which end only with his death. Thus, power-seeking nature of man is a derivative of utilitarian nature of man. The power is meant to obtain things which give us pleasure. It can be physical, economic, political or any sort of power. Since the desire for pleasure continue throughout the life, the search for power continue. Hence, life of man continue search for power after power which end only with his death. Thus, the power-seeking nature of man is a derivative of utilitarian nature of power. Critical evolution. Hobbes' description of human nature is too much influenced by situation prevailing in England during his time. Hobbes' description of human nature is too much influenced by the situation prevailing in England during his time. He gives one-sided view of human nature. The way he describes human nature shows Hobbes as a scholar of emerging capitalist class. It cannot be considered as a scientific explanation. It is nothing but discourse of human nature. State of nature. State of nature is a state of war of all against all. State of nature is a state of war. State of nature is a state of war of all against all. Of all against of all. State of nature is a state of war of all against all. State of nature, the life of man is a nasty, poor, brutish and short. State of nature में मैन का लाइफ नेस्टी है, पुअर है, ब्रूटिश एंड शॉर्ट है. ठीक है. स्टेट ऑफ नेचर, लाइफ ऑफ ए मैन इज ए नेस्टी, पुअर, ब्रूटिश, शॉर्ट. In the state of nature, there is no scope of art, literature, navigation, industry. State of nature is a state of war, of all against all. Hypothetical, no state. एनार्की, स्टेट ऑफ नेचर मतलब नो स्टेट, और वार मतलब एनार्की। जहाँ पे नहीं कोई स्टेट नहीं होगा वहाँ पे एनार्की होगा एक के दूसरे के साथ। स्टेट ऑफ नेचर इज ए स्टेट ऑफ वार ऑफ ऑल अगेंस्ट ऑफ। हाइपोथेटिकल नो स्टेट, और वार का मतलब है एनार्की। स्टेट ऑफ नेचर इज ए हाइपोथेटिकल कॉन्सेप्ट यूज्ड बाय सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट थिंकर टू शो how our life will be in absence of state, or when we live just according to the nature. According to Hobbes, human nature will be in the state of war, a war of all against all in state of nature. He finds explanation for state of war in the fundamental characteristic of human nature. The fundamental characteristic of human nature is a man is a utilitarian. The fundamental characteristic of human nature is man is a utilitarian. This is because movement of particle in brain, movement of particle continue as long as we live alive. Hence, there is a continuous search for pleasure. Power is a means to obtain the things which give us pleasure. He brings dilemma of unlimited desire. Limited means. He gives the dilemma of unlimited desire and limited means. People may have different desire, but means to obtain desire is same. Hence, all people run after power. This is a competition struggle of power. The man is assured of enjoying pleasure only when man has a more power than other. The power is a zero-sum game. When one person increases his power, it means other person powerless in same proportion. Hence, other will also try to acquire power and struggle will continue. Hence, life in a state of nature is a state of war. This is no security of life. There is always fear that other person can deprive me of my life. When life is not secure, there is no scope for good life. Hence, life of man will be nasty, poor, brutish, and short. In such scenario, there will be no scope for civilization development. Such state of nature is a state of pain. Hence, pleasure-seeking man could like avoid anarchy and state of or the state of nature. It is noted that his description of state of nature is influenced by situation prevailing in Britain during the time of Civil War, Puritan Revolution, 1641. By contrast, state of nature is a state of pain and man is a utilitarian. काहे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होना चाहिए? स्टेट ऑफ नेचर इज ए स्टेट ऑफ पेन. जहाँ पे स्टेट नहीं होगा वहाँ पे पेन होगा. और मैन क्योंकि यूटिलिटेरियन है, हैंस मैन ट्राइज टू कम आउट ऑफ द सिचुएशन बाय एंटरिंग इनटू कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. द पर्पस ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट टू क्रिएट some authority which ensures security of life. Reason for contract: fear of loss of life. I and fear were born together. In the above situation, Hobbes shows that the foundation of authority of state lies in the element of fear in man. In the above statement, Hobbes shows that the foundation of authority of state lies in the element of fear of man. Hobbes is not only one greatest political philosopher, he is also one of the greatest author in the English literature. Hobbes not only the greatest political philosopher, he is also one of the greatest author of English literature. He used metaphorical language. The above statement has link with an event in his life. The mother gave premature birth to him because of fear of Spanish Armada. Hence, he suggests that I and fear were born together. He means to suggest that man is a fearful by nature. On the basis of resolutive composite method, he proved that man is a utilitarian. Man is a fearful of losing life. Man fear death because death is the end of pleasure. In the state of nature, there was no security of life. It was a state of war, and life was nasty, poor, brutish, and short. Hence, for sake of security of life, man enter into contract and create a state. The most important function of state is protection of life. Right to life is a supreme. State is a preserve state is to preserve it, and even state can't take man's life in arbitrary manner. Thus, like Machiavelli, he also established basics of authority in fearful of man, parties in the contract. According to Hobbes, it is a contract of all with all. It means it is applicable on all. Constitution of India example के तौर पे the term and condition of contract. All people decide that they will transfer all their right which they were enjoying in the state of nature to third party. The third party is the state or commonwealth. In the state of nature, man was sovereign. It means there was no authority over and above the man. And was there any limitation on liberty of man? No. कब? स्टेट ऑफ नेचर में. स्टेट ऑफ नेचर मतलब होता है कोई स्टेट नहीं है. तो नो, देयर वाज नो लिमिटेशन ईदर ऑन द राइट और द लिबर्टी. सब खुला छूट है, सांड के जैसा, जिसको जिधर जाना है जाओ, किसी को भी मारो पीटो, कोई लेना देना नहीं. मैन वाज ए कम्प्लीटली फ्री टू डू वाट ही वांटेड. ठीक है, जो जिसको जो करना है. ही विल बी रिजल्ट it will result into situation of chaos and there will be no protection of even life. एक दूसरे का लोग जान भी लेने के लिए तुल जाता है. Hence men will transfer all of the right except right to self preservation. Right to self preservation is a inalienable, जिसको natural भी कह सकते हैं. इसको कभी हटाया या लिया नहीं जा सकता. Earlier man was sovereign and had all power, but now after the transfer, state becomes sovereign with all power. Hence authority of state is absolute. According to Hobbes, man has only two options: either to live under absolute anarchy or absolute authority of state. Which option man will choose? Man will choose to live under absolute authority of state rather than anarchy or absolute liberty. Hence security has primacy over liberty. सिक्योरिटी ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है लिबर्टी से, क्योंकि सिक्योरिटी से जान का भी बचाव मिलता है, लिबर्टी में कोई किसी को भी ठोक रहा है. हॉब्स स्टेटमेंट ऑन प्रोसेस ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. क्या होगा प्रोसेस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का? आई गिव अप ऑल ऑफ माई राइट टू दिस असेंबली और टू दिस पर्सन, जिसको स्टेट कर सकते हैं, ऑन द कंडीशन डेट all will give up their right. Hobbes' statement on process of contract. I give up all my right to this assembly or to this person state on condition that all will give up their right. ठीक है. Hobbes on liberty. Liberty is where law is silent. Hobbes does not prefer liberty. Extreme liberty result into anarchy. In state of anarchy, there is no guarantee of even right to life. For Hobbes, security is a supreme value, more important than liberty. सिक्योरिटी ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है हॉब्स के लिए, लिबर्टी से भी ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है सिक्योरिटी. सिक्योरिटी रहेगा तब ना जान बचेगा, तब ना कुछ कर भी सकेंगे. इन प्रोसेस ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मैन ट्रांसफर ऑल ऑफ हिज राइट except right to life. Since man is a transferred all of his right, the authority of state is absolute. When authority of state is absolute, man has no freedom to act according to his choice. Man is under compulsion to act according to the law. Man will be punished in case he doesn't act according to law. When man don't follow law of the sovereign, it means he asserts as if he is a sovereign. In a particular territory, there can't be more than one sovereign. Man will follow law so long as it appears himself to be useful. Man will be tempted to evade law when it appears no more useful. When one person gets unpunished, other will also focus, such people will lead to state of anarchy. Life of all can't be brought back into state of anarchy because the mischief of few persons. Man has only two options: either to live in the state of absolute authority or absolute anarchy. Thus power of sovereign is absolute. Man has no freedom to act according to his own wishes. He has freedom to act according to his own wishes only when law is silent. The statement is not about liberty rather than justification of absolute authority of state. State power is to punish those who don't follow law. Note on the concept of liberty. Liberty is understood as a two form. Negative liberty, which means absence of state. Original concept of liberty. नेगेटिव मतलब एब्सेंस ऑफ स्टेट, स्टेट नहीं इन्वॉल्व होगा, जो कि ओरिजिनल है. और पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी है दैट कम्स विथ वेलफेयर स्टेट, इट्स डिनोट कैपेसिटी. लिबर्टी, नेगेटिव लिबर्टी एब्सेंस ऑफ स्टेट, पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी प्रेजेंस ऑफ स्टेट. पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी कॉन्सेप्ट कम्स विथ वेलफेयर ऑफ स्टेट, इट डिनोट कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग फंक्शन ऑफ स्टेट. स्टेट का काम है कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग करना. अमर्त्य सेन डिफाइन डेवलपमेंट एज ए फ्रीडम. डेवलपमेंट एज ए फ्रीडम, अगर डेवलपमेंट दे रहे हो तो फ्रीडम दे रहे हो. कौन कहा था? अमर्त्य सेन. लिबर्टी सिग्निफाइज प्रॉपरली एब्सेंस ऑफ ऑपोजिशन इन एक्सटर्नल. Liberty signifies property as absence of opposition in external impediment to the motion, absence of law. ठीक है. A person has a freedom to walk but he is unable to walk because he is sick. In this case, person has a freedom but lack capacity. According to Hobbes, we should not confuse between liberty and capacity. Liberty is a proper sense in just absence of law. Liberty in proper sense is a just absence of law. जैसे कि wall putting force on liquid, liquid putting force on wall. Liberty, capacity to flow, no freedom to flow. दीवार अंदर में आप फ्लो कर सकते हो, दीवार नो फ्रीडम टू फ्लो. वॉल एक्सटर्नल इम्पेडिमेंट टू मोशन लॉ, न्यूटन थर्ड लॉ ऑफ मोशन. एंड answer format. Hobbes was a provided justification to absolute authority of state. He has preferred security over liberty. According to him, man has a no liberty where state has made law. Liberty is where law is silent. Liberty वहाँ पे है जहाँ पे कानून है ही नहीं, मतलब बोतल का दीवार है ही नहीं जिसको जिधर बहना है बहो. Hobbes is not only one of the greatest philosopher in politics, he is also regarded as one of the greatest author in the English literature. ये फिलोसफर ही नहीं था बल्कि इंग्लिश लिटरेचर भी था. हैंस एट ए टाइम इट बिकम कॉम्प्लिकेट्स टू अंडरस्टैंड हिज आइडिया. ही एड फर्दर कॉम्प्लिकेशन when he incorporated many concepts of natural science, especially physics, in vocabulary of political philosophy. फिजिक्स घुसा दिया, वो भी किसमें? पॉलिटिकल फिलोसफी में. गजब था. Hobbes has tried to explain proper meaning of liberty by differentiating liberty and capacity. He explained his position in the basics of two examples. A person having freedom to walk is unable to walk as he is sick. In this situation, we say he doesn't lack freedom but simply lack capacity. Freedom and capacity can't be confused. Example: liquid closed in a bottle. Liquid has a capacity to flow but no freedom to flow as wall of bottle act impediment to motion of liquid. Using concept of mechanics, he showed that wall is opposing the movement of liquid. In turn, liquid getting put pressure on the wall. In case no wall, no pressure. Thus, liberty is a proper sense in absence of opposition in external impediment to the motion. As liberty is a proper sense, absence of law. Thus, liberty in proper sense is absence of law. The wall of bottle can be equated with the law made by state. Hence, when law exists, man has no option but to act according to law. Hobbes on the law. Covenants without swords are nothing but words. Covenant without swords are nothing but words. Theme: the justification of power of punishment enjoy the sovereign. It means law is useless if it does not comes with power of punishment. His view on law. In Western world, there are two prominent tradition of law. Natural law, reason. Plato, Aristotle favored this tradition. Positive law, law made by state. Hobbes supported this tradition. नेचुरल जो खुद से उभरे, जिसमें कि प्लेटो और एरिस्टोटल सपोर्ट करता था. पॉजिटिव जो लॉ मेड बाय स्टेट है, हॉब्स सपोर्ट करता था. वाई हॉब्स डजेंट रिकोगनाइज नेचुरल लॉ एज ए लॉ. नेचुरल लॉ हैज़ अ टू वीकनेस. इट लैक सर्टेनिटी. इट मे वेरी फ्रॉम पर्सन टू पर्सन. कोई अलग मानता है, कुछ और मानता है, क्योंकि आत्मा का बात है. नेचुरल लॉ बोलता है इट फेल्स टू अचीव द पर्पस ऑफ लॉ. एस्टेब्लिशमेंट ऑफ नेचुरल लॉ, ड्यू प्रोसेस लॉ, सॉरी, it failed to achieve purpose of law, establishment of law and order. It failed to achieve purpose of law, establishment of law and order. जैसे कि नेचुरल लॉ, ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ. अरे यार, हाउ हॉब्स established that natural law is not sufficient to establish law. He gives example of state of nature. In the state of nature there are no state but natural law exists. जहाँ पे स्टेट नहीं है वहाँ पे, इन स्टेट ऑफ नेचर देयर वाज नो स्टेट बट नेचुरल लॉ. जहाँ पे स्टेट ही नहीं है वहाँ पे स्टेट ऑफ नेचर में ऑब्वियसली स्टेट नहीं होगा, नेचुरल लॉ एग्जिस्ट करेगा. हाउएवर नेचुरल लॉ वाज नॉट सफिशिएंट टू एस्टेब्लिश ऑर्डर. दैट इज़ वाई स्टेट ऑफ नेचर वाज स्टेट ऑफ why natural law was unable to establish order. State of war. However, natural law was not sufficient to establish order. That is why state of nature was state of war. State of nature में state of war होता है. Of all against all कह सकते हैं इसको. Why natural law was unable to establish order. Natural law is a product of reason. It expects man to be reasonable. In a man, reason dominated by passion. Man does have reason but only limited. How much reason man has? The reason just enough for man to get things which give him pleasure. जिसमें इंसान को मज़ा आ जाए उतने रीजन है, इसके बाद रीजन नहीं है. He doesn't have enough reason to guide whether man should aspire for the pleasure or not. उतना भी लोग को रीजन नहीं मिलता है कि प्लेजर लेना है कि छोड़ना है. Hence, reason is neither sufficient to establish order. According to Hobbes, there can be peace in state of nature if man act with reason. But it is dilemma of life that man is controlled by passion. Hence, he suggests that state of law is not law in proper sense. It is better to use term article of peace or counsels of prudence. According to Hobbes, there can be peace in state of nature if man act with reason, but it is a dilemma of life that man is controlled by passion. Man कंट्रोल किससे होता है? पैशन से. अगर रीजन से होता तो सही रहता. यही तो डायलेमा है. Hence he suggested that natural law is not law in a proper sense. It is better to use the term article of peace or counsels of prudence. Why positive law is a law? Only positive law can be established peace. It is a definitive and it comes with power of punishment. If there is no fear of punishment, man will not obey law. Thus, fear is a basics of authority. अब हॉब्स और एरिस्टोटल में क्या अंतर है? Hobbes, there is no man of reason. All are driven by passion. There is no man of reason. मैन लोग रीज़न करने हैं, वो सब पैसन से डिराइव होता है. और एरिस्टोटल है, मास्टर हैव रीज़न, दे मेक लॉ एंड नॉट ऑल आर सेम. हॉब्स कहता है देर इज़ नो मैन ऑफ रीज़न, ऑल आर डिराइवन बाय पैशन. पैशन जो उसको वो करता है. और एरिस्टोटल कहता है मास्टर हैव रीज़न, दे मेक लॉ, नॉट ऑल आर सेम. ठीक है. How far Hobbes is correct? If we look at the state of international politics, it is in the state of anarchy, where power is a means and end. International law is a weak law. It is a voluntary in nature. It lacks power of enforcement. Answer format. In the above statement, Hobbes suggests that law without fear of punishment is not law in proper sense. In state of nature, there was a natural law. However, it is insufficient to establish order. Hence, the study of nature was hence the state of nature was nasty, poor, brutish sorts. Natural law depend on the reason of man. If man follow natural law, there will be peace. However, the dilemma that man has a limited reason. His passion dominates the reason. पैसन क्या करता है, रीज़न को डोमिनेट करता है. पैसन डोमिनेट द रीज़न. पैसन डोमिनेट द रीज़न. Hence he suggested it is better to call natural law as a article of peace or counsel of prudence. According to him, law is a proper sense is command of sovereign. Not only law made by state is a definite, it also comes with fear of punishment. If the fear of punishment is not there, man will not obey law. Hence he suggests that convent without swords are nothing but word. Hobbes' view is quite acceptable when it's compared with situation in domestic sphere. With that international sphere, international law lack power of enforcement. Hence, politics continue to be struggle for power. Assessment of Hobbes as a thinker. Hobbes is the greatest of all individualists. What is individualism? Individualism is a philosophy of modern time. However, when we trace its root in the thought of sophists, we can trace its root in the thought of sophists. वही जो टीचर होता था अपना फ़ायदा के लिए बच्चा को पढ़ाता था, अब बोलता था जम के करप्शन करो. According to individualist, self-interest has a priority over interest of whole. हम अपना ज़रूरत सबसे ऊपर है. Two type of individualist, methodological और normative. दो तरह का इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक होता है. मेथोडोलॉजिकल होता है, एक नॉर्मेटिव होता है. मेथोडोलॉजिकल individualist, those who evolve their political theory on the individualistic nature of man. Example, Hobbes, he built his political theory on individualistic nature of man. Hence Hobbes is a methodological individualist. वो लोग methodological individualist होता है जो political theory evolve करता है, political theory on the individualistic nature of man. इंसान individual. Normative individualists are those whom there is nothing wrong in being individualistic. Hobbes is also normative individualistic. He considered that there is nothing wrong in being individualistic. जो मानता ही नहीं है कि individualistic होना बुरा है, और ये जो थ्योरी को यूज़ करता है, यही अंतर है. मैकियावेली, ट्रेडिशन ऑफ यूनिवर्सल इगोइज्म, methodological normative. Hobbes is a normative individualistic because he believed that human nature need not to be changed. For him, there is no difference between what is and what ought to be. He considered as the greatest of all individualistic because he was first person to logically establish based on resolutive composite method that man is a utilitarian by nature and hence man is a इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक बाय नेचर. पहले यूटिलिटेरियन होता है जिसके कारण इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक बाय नेचर. इट इज़ एज नेचुरल फैक्ट एज अर्थ मूव्स अराउंड द सन. ही इज़ द फर्स्ट पर्सन टू रिमूव द सेंस ऑफ गिल्ट ऑफ बीइंग इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक. ही इज़ अ स्कॉलर ऑफ कैपिटलिस्ट क्लास. हिज फिलोसफी सर्व capitalist class because he legitimized capitalist maximization of profit. He suggests that there is nothing wrong in this as everyone is self-centered. He can be considered as the greatest of all individualistic because he established right to life as an absolute right and man can kill other person for purpose of protection of his life. At the same time, scholars find contradiction in his thought. For example, according to Macpherson, 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 Person, Macpherson, Macpherson, Macpherson. According to Macpherson, Hobbes start as individualistic, concluded as a absolutist. Hobbes is a individualistic in his assertion but absolutistic in conclusion. जब स्टार्ट कर रहा था तो इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक था मगर एब्सोल्यूटिस्टिक था कंक्लूजन में ख़त्म करते टाइम. अकॉर्डिंग टू 7, हॉब्स एब्सोल्यूटिज्म इज़ अ डेरिवेटिव ऑफ इंडिविजुअलिज्म. ये एब्सोल्यूटिज्म डिराइव हुआ है इंडिविजुअलिज्म से. इट इज़ फॉर प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ इंडिविजुअल एंड हिज राइट टू लाइफ. हॉब्स क्रिएटेड एब्सोल्यूट स्टेट. इवन then he gives individual right to resist the state in case state derives him of his right to life. Leviathan is a useless as book of history and fruitless as a book of politics. Buon Leviathan is a useless as a book of history and fruitless as a books of politics. यूजलेस था बुक ऑफ हिस्ट्री. लेवियांथन यूजलेस, हिस्ट्री के लिए यूजलेस था और फ्रूटलेस, कोई फल ही नहीं देता है पॉलिटिक्स के लिए. बुआन का था बुआन, VAUGHAN, बुआन, इसको बुआन कहते हैं, VAUGHAN, बुआन. Hobbes is one of the most criticized scholar. He was described as a devil. Leviathan was described as a book containing पता नहीं क्या. His book was among the prohibited book by the church and was burned 2 times his life. Vaughan was contemporary and critics of Hobbes. According to Vaughan, Leviathan is a useless book. It is neither tell the reliable account of origin of state. Leviathan is also fruitless books to understand the politics. However, it is wrong to criticize Hobbes. Hobbes' purpose was not to tell the history of origin of state. His purpose was to tell why we should obey the state and how our life will be without state. Hobbes is not anthropologist to give scientific account of origin of state. Hence, the criticism is not justified. Hobbes is one of the most important scholars to understand principle of modern political life. Hobbes is one of the most important scholars to understand principle of modern political life. Leviathan is not only masterpiece in English literature, it is also masterpiece in political philosophy. ये फिलोसफर भी था, इंग्लिश लिटरेचर भी था, और लेवियांथन दोनों में मास्टरपीस है. कार्ल मार्क्स, who is regarded as one of the greatest philosophers, has acknowledged Hobbes as a father of all of us philosophers. Thank you.